This past summer, she spent 5 weeks in Italy's Bellagio on Lake Como, the study center where she was free to write. Now she is in North Carolina. She is a Mellon Fellow, the only poet at the North Carolina Humanities Center. Part of Rita's success, I know, has come from a family that has encouraged her, has inspired her to do her best and to do what she wanted to do. A loving family, a helpful family.
On behalf of the Family Services Agency, all of us here this evening, and all of the families in the Akron community, I wish to present to you this bowl as a symbol of our recognition of you, the Dove family, as Family of the Year. I'm going to read from the invitation in recognition of a family which has demonstrated a strong and continuing commitment to family by nurturing individual growth, promoting teamwork and love, and extending friendship and service to others. Thank you very much.
What's wrong with you guys? You ran away. What are you doing?
Robin is the middle daughter. I'm the oldest daughter. Robin is the middle daughter, and she's a librarian in the Technical Business Library at Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Nelson is my brother-in-law, Robin's husband, and he's an accountant in the finance department at Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Rhonda, the youngest of the four, works as a computer program analyst at Goodyear. Chris, my other brother-in-law, Rhonda's husband, is a professional basketball player. And this is my daughter, Aviva, with my nephew, Nelson.
Page 5.
I've always been fascinated by airships, the Blimps, lighter-than-air craft. One of the most wonderful things about living in Akron, Ohio was that as a child I saw many blimps floating, those fantastical structures far above the city. And what thrilled me most about them was to know that they were, although they were larger than some football fields, they were so light that a few men could pull them out on a leash as if one were going to walk a very large dog. They have appeared in many of my poems, and this is one of them. Weathering Out. She liked mornings the best. Thomas gone to look for work, her coffee flushed with milk, outside autumn trees blousy and dripping. Past the 7th month she couldn't see her feet, so she floated from room to room, house shoes flapping, navigating corners in wonder. When she leaned against the door jamb to yawn, she disappeared entirely. Last week they had taken a bus at dawn to the new air dock. The hangar slid open in segments, and the Zeppelin nosed forward in its silver envelope. The man walked it out gingerly, like a poodle, then tied it to a mast and went back inside. Beulah felt just that large and placid, a lake. She glistened from cocoa butter smoothed in when Thomas returned every evening, nearly in tears. I enjoy teaching. For me to be able to teach the subject that I love, that is writing poetry and fiction, is one of the most blessed occupations that a writer could have. I find that it makes me feel very special and privileged. And one of the joys of teaching creative writing is that you never know what's going to happen when you walk in that classroom door every day. You come in with a lesson plan, you think you're going to teach a certain poem and talk about 3 or 4 poems by students, and you discover that you suddenly end up talking about 3 more different poems, and you go off far afield of where you intended to be, but still it's interesting and it's a good place to end the day. That being on my toes that way, that kind of suspense keeps me vital and alive for my own creative work. Of course, any job is a strain on one's own creativity. I find that when I come home from a day of teaching that I am tired, and it is difficult to get back to my own work. But I also am excited by what has happened that day, and sometimes there are wonderful things that occur to me that wouldn't have done otherwise. So I can imagine no other job that I'd rather be doing. And of course, the idea of paying back what I've been given in terms of education is very appealing to me. I've had some excellent teachers in my life, teachers who have opened up entire worlds for me, both in high school and in college. And at Miami University in Ohio, I think I got one of the best undergraduate liberal educations one could have. Being on going back to Miami University to be at their commencement and to give the commencement speech was for me, therefore, an incredible honor.
Please join me now in welcoming back to Miami, Rita F. Dove.
Thank you. Thank you. It is good to be back.
Page 6.
People often ask me, well, what comes next? You've gotten the Pulitzer. That's the highest honor that a poet in America can dream of. What are you going to do next? And at first that question surprised me because I thought that I had been doing what one is supposed to do next, and that is write the next poem. My husband and I are both writers. My husband has written and published 4 novels, and he's on work on his 5th. It is a prime example of someone who's taught me to be patient and also reminds me occasionally that the best moment is the moment when things happen on the page, and that's the moment that every writer works for. The prizes, the accolades are icing on the cake. So I will just keep doing what I've always been doing. That is writing poems, and we'll see what comes next. I think that perhaps a poem of mine, a very early poem of mine, expresses how I feel about the future better than I could have said it in any other words. Perhaps it was a foreshadowing. It's a poem called Ö, that is the Swedish word for island, and it's an O with an umlaut, 2 dots above the O. And the poem ends, "Nothing's like it used to be, not even the future."